have you noticed that dogs they always when they go for a walk, yeah, and they randomly just do a little wee like all over the place. They're literally marking their territory. Have you noticed that?
I do. I do.
My dog has a proper wee, and then she sort of like saves some back, and she whittles there, whittles there, whittles there. Whittle meaning has a little piss, and it's like other dogs come into the kingdom of like, oh shit, there's another dog here. We need to watch ourselves. So my dog's like, yeah, you better watch yourself because I'm in town. It's my acre, my field.
Do you ever wonder why don't they just let it all out in one place to like totally assert their dominance? Like the amount of volume of pee relates to how big the dog could possibly be and how dominant they could be. So if like they just full on geyser splash all over the floor, then that's the top dog. And then every dog that comes over has to create a pool of pee, and then at some point you just realize like there's a giant puddle of pee everywhere I go. Like that should be how dogs pee, but instead they just like wee a little bit and then just kind of like save their gallon for the next spot and then drop a little bit, couple ounces. Like it should be whoever pees the loudest, just like in a male bathroom, like whoever pees the loudest is the top dog in the men's room. Like dogs should be like that.
Yeah, it's like the more wee, the bigger the dog, because the bigger the belly. But instead, it's
Yeah.
like, right, if that dog goes over there, I need to do a little bit over there. If that dog goes over there, I need to be over there too. It's almost like don't put your eggs in one basket, spread them all out like a stock market. Don't put it all in Bitcoin. Buy some Litecoin, buy some Ethereum, buy some Bitcoin, buy some XRP.
Exactly. And then I always wonder, like, wherever they pee, whatever dog pees, do the other dogs know what kind of dog it is based on that pee?
I mean, do you go into the toilet and can be like, oh, that definitely was a black guy there because that smell of chicken. It's like you can't really tell, can you?
Well, you could tell what they ate.
Yeah, I mean, that is true, right? Because if some people eat like certain spices, like curries and foods, then it comes out in BO. So I
Yeah.
suppose you can actually probably tell by the urine if you've got like a very sensitive nose. Like if somebody farts, you can sort of tell, oh, that was chicken Walker's crisps. Oh, there was Doritos. Cool
Be like,
original.
be like, I tasted that. It was like mustard, ketchup.
Have you been to
Yeah, hot dog.
McDonald's? That was definitely a burrito.
Well, I know when I've had a burrito. I know when I've had a burrito at a specific restaurant because it all comes out a certain way and it smells a certain way and it comes out a certain texture and then it hurts too. And I know that's a good burrito.
Yeah, like it's true. Obviously, what we eat, we expirate. So technically, whatever you eat and drink, there will be a scent to it. And maybe because dogs have such good nose that other dogs can possibly tell what type of dog it was. I mean, I can't really tell what type of person's having a shit next to me in the urinal, but I suppose dogs have very sensitive nose and they can smell that little urine from a mile off to be like, oh, there's a Jack Russell here. I've got a little Jack Russell, but she's mentally like strong-minded. Like when other dogs walk past her, she ignores them. She just looks at us like we're the ones here in control, and she just
Yeah.
ignores the other dogs. They come and sniff her ass. She's like, get away. She's not interested.
So yeah, it's almost like a classist thing.
Yeah.
You know, for a second, I forgot that we were talking about dogs and peeing and marking the territory, and all I could think of was like, what did people poop, and like what comes out, and what did they just eat? Like that was what I was thinking about the entire time, and then you just brought me back to the dog thing.
You're a
Even right
visionary.
now, I am. I'm like,
Visionary.
I mean, just when you go to the bathroom after somebody else and they didn't flush the toilet, and you can't help but just look and see like, just they had eggs this morning.
Yeah, like I'm sort of fascinating by the type of poo. I'm like, what? Mine's really long and sort of small, but this is fucking thick and like lots of lumps. I'm like, he must have a really bad diet. But yeah, it's human nature to sort of look at other people's body parts when they're out, or look at another person's poop, because you sort of think to yourself, oh, that's not very he's not very healthy. He's got really dark urine. He must be dehydrated. And you sort of think,
Yeah,
well, mine's straw color. I'm doing well for myself. I am really hydrated. It's just human nature just to be fascinated with smells of other animals. It's just nature, isn't it?
exactly, exactly. Like, don't you ever wonder why a lot of the animals in the animal kingdom, the males are always the most flashy and the most like you could tell what I guess they're judged based on their looks and their maneuvers and even how they're dressed. And with the women, the females in different animals or different species, they're more plain. They're more subdued looking, but the guys are the flashy ones. And it's kind of the same with the males in for men, for humans. It's very much that. It's like we judge each other more than the women judge us.
That is true. Because if
And
you
it's
look at if you look at birds, I don't know how much you've watched of like Sir David Attenborough, right? But he goes into the Amazon rainforest, and there's this little bird trying to attract the mate, and he starts doing a little dance, and he makes his
yeah.
feathers really big, and he starts like doing backflips and jumping around, so the other female can be like, fucking hell, he can do backflips. Jesus, he must be a gymnast. Look at his wings, look at his feathers, look at his stripes, look at his spots. So other animals who are impressed by the color or the shape of another animal, you're more impressed by it because they're the ones that are slightly different. So it's the same as humans. If somebody's got different hairstyle or wearing some Gucci watch or has shaved hair and a little goatee, and we're not used to seeing that, we're like, wow. And now you gravitate towards them. And naturally, that's what a leader is, where people gravitate towards them. And then you have somebody who's kind of got the upper hand. And yeah, again, same as nature. The one who is different or stands out, like a lion, like a big furry face or whatever, or some muscly guys been to the gym, they naturally will become a leader because people look up to those types of people.
Have you ever seen walruses fight to assert their dominance?
Walrus, what's a walrus? Is that
A walrus, so it's like so you have whales, you have seals, you have sea otters, and you have the big fat ones with the big long
got it. Yeah,
tooth.
yeah.
So I went to a place where there were just like walruses and seals all on this one beach, and they're just so massive. They're just big fat blobby messes of animals. And when the guys fight each other just to get space, just to kind of like assert their dominance and then try to win all the females around them, their fighting is more of like they just headbutt each other and just like kind of with their little fins, they kind of slap each other and then like headbutt each other and try to dig their giant teeth into each other. And it just looks like the saddest fight on the planet. But once the male submits and walks away, it's the worst walk of shame ever because they're just like kind of flopping away really slow. And then they look back. And then they just kind of keep going. They basically flop their way back into the ocean. It's the most saddest defeat I've ever seen.
Yeah, literally, like there's like hundreds of them just laying there, and all of a sudden this big one comes over because he wants to dominate the pack, and they're like,
yes,
they're like a belly flopping on them, and the amount of blood that comes off is shocking, like blood just all over the place from their massive and they go up like that. They go really tall, and I don't know how they manage to get that high on their fins, but they get up like that, and they're like, oh, and it's like, oh, boom. And then the one's like, fuck this, I'm out of there. You can have it, fuck her, you can live it, fuck her. And then he's off. He waddles off, it's true, they just fucking flop off.
Yeah. And meanwhile, like all the innocent bystanders are just trying to get away.
They're like, fuck.
Because like any chance, especially the little babies, the poor little ones are like they can't get away fast enough, and these giants are just like flopping and landing on rolling on them and stuff. You just wonder like how many get killed just in the process of these two trying to claim their space.
That's the thing.
It's
like
really sad.
These are heavy fucking animals, probably heavier than a cow.
Have you seen them charge at each other? It's terrifying.
No, but I imagine Scotty Too Hotty, he did the worm on wrestling. Imagine this like, move, he's coming!
What a 2 to 3 ton animal doing that.
Yeah, literally.
Gosh.
But if you see like penguins coming down a mountain, or they're coming up a mountain, or like billy goats walking along the mountain, right? And they all fall off and they just tumble to their death. They just like boom, 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 and they just splash in the ocean. Like, it's amazing. There's too many animals trying to get across the mountain, too many penguins, and they fall off and they're going it's just like it's not even real. It's just like he's hitting the rock and he's bouncing off and he goes in the water and there's blood all over the place.
And there's no rhyme or reason as to why they want to climb that high up and then you just see them fall, and it's the crazy. They look like giant rocks,
Literally, they're
giant
literally
floppy
bouncing
rocks.
off the rock like a rock falling off a mountain. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. And you kind of hope that they survive it because they have that much padding and cushioning, but they're also several tons.
Yeah,
So
and that's yeah, and like their flubber, it's got blood in it, so there's going to be blood. There's blood all over the
yeah.
rocks. Um,
Oh my god.
it's amazing. Have you seen those like billy goats going to the top of a mountain to get the sodium, the salt from the top? I'm like,
Just to lick a
fucking
rock.
hell. Yeah, literally. I'm like, you've climbed up that high just to lick a rock. It's like a cat climbing up a tree and realizing,
that's
fuck, how do I get down?
that's Darwinism at its finest. Like there's a rock right here, right? Like you there's a rock right next to you. Why don't you just lick that rock? But no, they have to climb, several thousand feet with ledges that are this thin just to get to that one rock so you can lick it for 5 minutes.
And the camera zooms out and you see how high up that goat is up there. And they've got hooves, right? I'm thinking they're slippy. Like, at least I've got
Yeah.
toes to grip. But they've just got like a fucking, I don't know, like a clump of whatever. How are they like getting grip? And it's crazy.
Yeah. And mind you, if you're an animal and you're up that high and you have cameras on you and people pointing things at you, wouldn't you think that the animal would be a little bit camera shy and nervous being in front of other species and cameras? Like imagine a drone that's kind of like pulling up on you while you're trying to lick a rock standing on a ledge that's this thin. You would think that that goat would probably fall off and die because that drone's like distracting it.
That's the thing, right? I don't know how much David Attenborough stuff you've seen, but they have like cameras built into fake fish or built into fake
Oh
sheep or
god.
built into fake rocks or fake tree. So as you said, the animals don't know that's a human. To them, it's just a rock, a moving rock or a moving bird. Like you've got birds flying with the camera inside, you've got fish, crocodiles. That's how they get so close to these animals. And you see like these polar bears, like or birds pecking this thing, right? Or flipping it over. It's amazing the technology in this stuff
Yeah.
just to get that shot next to like a lion. That's so rare.
Have you seen the one where I think it was National Geographic? They sent in a chimpanzee, a robotic chimpanzee with cameras built into it, and so it sent it into a tribe of silverbacks, and no, it wasn't a chimp. Maybe it was a chimp. Whatever, and it just sat there, and the pack started moving in on it. All the kids started moving in on it. The mom started moving in on it, and they started kind of playing with it. And they built in gestures into the little monkey, and so it would beat its chest. It would make noises and stuff. And then here comes the silverback, and it's like it's trying to figure it out. And so all the other gorillas are backing off and letting this one silverback trying to deal with it. So it was up to the operators to decide how are we going to deal with this, because one wrong move and the silverback is going to either destroy it or it's going to let it in. And so they programmed the ability for the little mechanical chimpanzee to look away so it would avert its gaze so that it wouldn't be standoffish. It looked away, and then the silverback was like, okay, and it walked off, and all the other chimps and apes and stuff started coming in and started playing with it until one of them knocked it over. And then the ape that knocked it over was like, I think I killed it. And then just kind of moseyed off as if nothing had happened. Like, I'm just going to forget that this happened. And then just took off.
Yeah, it's
It's
like
the greatest thing ever.
have you seen the one where they put the mirror into the jungle and the monkey's like running at it and thinking like, is that a
Oh,
fucking
no.
monkey? He gets really close to it, he sort of jumps back. It's like, what the fuck? Like, what do I do? Have you seen that one?
No.
You need to
That's got to be
YouTube it.
great, though.
Yeah, there's a mirror and there's a chimpanzee and he's just like running around it. But what's amazing is how quick these apes run. If you look at zoos in like America or whatever, you've got like the monkey banging on the glass of the kid and he legs it off there, swings around and comes back. They're quick fuckers, especially for the size that they are. Like, they're probably the same size as us. I couldn't run that quick.
Mm-mm. But they get to run with 4 arms or 4 limbs. We try to deal with 4 limbs and we can barely get across a couple 100 feet.
What's your thought on keeping animals as pets, like lions and tigers and chimpanzees? Like other countries, it's just normal. They're just like a dog and a cow for us or for them. What's your thoughts on like those animals that come from safari?
So if you keep a lion in your house, whatever happens, it's all your fault.
Do you think it should
That's
be
my
allowed
thought.
though?
I think as long as it's not endangered and you're not harming it and you understand the risks of keeping one, by all means go ahead. It's just understand that, if you keep an animal that's bigger than you that can probably kill you, you're taking your life in your own hands. That's why if I ever have a dog, which I don't, I would keep a Chihuahua
Chihuahua.
or something that can't kill me in my sleep.
How about a dog that can protect you in case of the burglar? What's that little Chihuahua gonna do? Fuck off!
It'll just
Picked it
annoy
up and grabbed it.
it'll just annoy the shit out of the burglar.
Burglar just kicks it. It lands on the ceiling. Just walks in. Fuck off! Poof! Wow! Just
at
lands
least
on
we'll
the
hear
stage.
at least we'll hear that.
Yeah.
That it'll be our little cheap alarm.
You know parrots, right? Do you think they actually understand what they are saying? Like they recognize what sounds mean certain things, or do they literally just repeat back the sounds that they
I,
hear? They have no fucking idea.
I think they're just screwing with us. I think they're so highly intelligent, they just make us think that they're just stupid little animals. But really, they probably control the planet. Like they have mind control tricks.
I think there's so many intelligent animals out there that we have no idea that intelligence exists. Like you see, like a squirrel, there's a different sound a squirrel makes if you walk past, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, they all disperse and they go up a tree, and there's just different sounds for different things, and we're like, wow, he understands that I'm a human, or they even know when they've seen me before, which means they
Yeah.
recognize faces, which means cows should recognize faces like dogs do. Like, why would you think that only humans can? Why can't an ant or fly recognize another fly? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like we have we as humans have to talk to communicate, right? And then there's nonverbal communication. But most animals that don't make any sounds, they can still communicate. And so that makes you wonder like how far does nonverbal communication go in terms of being able to communicate, right? And sometimes I wish that people just didn't talk and just communicated nonverbally because then it just keeps the conversation quicker and shorter.
Literally,
Just
and
like,
and we'll be able to pick up what other people are feeling if we just
yeah,
meditate for fucking 5 minutes. Like you will pick up thoughts. Like if somebody says, "Let's go KFC afterwards," you'll suddenly get that thought and say, "Do you want to go KFC?" And it'll be, "Yeah, let's go." So you communicate, and people don't realize we have these powers because they're always fucking active in their brain or on their phone. But give yourself 5 minutes, their thoughts will come to you. And I know this is real. I
yeah,
don't know how much you know about it, but it's really amazing. There's a whole new world out there that we don't even see, which exists, and that, like most humans, have no idea exists. It's just another world, another superpower.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. There's a show that I keep seeing the commercial for, and it's about this woman who all of a sudden wakes up one morning and can read and can hear everybody's thoughts. That would just be terrifying. Not just terrifying for everybody else, but terrifying for the person who can have that ability. Because you think about how many thoughts go through your mind in any given moment and how scattered it is and how crazy it is. And you don't even know what you're thinking about at that very moment. How is somebody else going to listen to what you're thinking at that second without their heads just exploding?
I used to think, right, what would it be like if there was like a projector that was streaming all my
Oh,
thoughts
God.
and like, but they think I'm fucking crazy. They'll shoot me and put me down. They'll be like,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, he wants to do that, like take over the Jimmy Fallon talk show. This fucker's crazy. Like lock him up. I'm like, I can see it. I want to do it. And you fucking not. You just get a job in Walmart, mate.
I would
Things
just
like that.
if were to have my thoughts projected onto a screen and I'd watch that thing go, I would be totally confused. Just be like, why would I even be thinking that? What is going on here? And then that just creates too much. That just creates too much for me. I'd like to think that I'm a very simple person and that my thoughts are really simple. But then I'd start doing a deep dive and then it just sends me down a rabbit hole. So to imagine that being projected, no thanks.
So everyone's
It's too
thoughts are
much.
made up of other people's thoughts. Most of our
Yeah.
thoughts aren't our own. Like, so most of the things that come into our head are things that adverts people say here, blah 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 blah. So if you wrote down all your thoughts and sort of just went through them one by one and be like, where the fuck did that come from? Flip flops. I don't even wear shoes. Like, what the fuck do I need flip flops? And it's interesting to sort of try and backtrack where that thought came from, whether it was someone else or whether it was a TV advert. And you're like, well, the TV was off. And then you go out to your friend's house for a drink or whatever, and they're like, hey, just like my new flip flops, you should get some. And I'm like, you're the fucker that made me think of flip flops. It was you. And he was like, yeah, I thought about you
Yeah.
today. I thought you're good with these, you big toes. And you're like, fuck me. Those flip flops, that was your thought. And it's quite amazing to think that other people can put thoughts in your head and you have no idea until you actually go back in time and sort of track where this came from. It's fascinating that.
Yeah, now that you just mentioned flip flops, that's going to show up on my Facebook timeline and my Instagram timeline and my Amazon. It's all going to show up now. So now I'm just going to have a massive thread of flip flops, and now I'm going to end up having to buy one, not really wanting any because I'm Asian, so we have flip flops all over the house. But now because you mentioned it, I'm going to end up buying more flip flops. Thank you very much. So I might as well just make sure that I might as well click on your Amazon affiliate link and
No, I'm
just
going
buy
to set
flip
one up
flops so you
now.
get commission.
I'm going to set one up. But that's the thing, right? Amazon's listening, Alexa's listening, Siri's listening, Google's listening. You mentioned the word flip flop, flip flop, flip flop, flip flop, flip flop. And it's like
Yeah.
now 70%, now 80%. I'm like, well, it's too fucking cheap. I have to buy some now. And they win. And they bought it from China for 20p. So they still win that 80% discount. They still made a pound
Exactly.
profit. They still win.
Exactly. Golly.
And they've got your email address. The next time they say some new flip flops and new this. And well, that was it. They got me.
God. So I don't know how old you are, but
Seven.
How old?
27.
27. So yeah, you're still old enough. So let's see. The internet, probably 30 plus years now. Oh no. Yeah, but I would say 20 some odd years where internet was accessible for the common people. I never thought it would get to this point. I never saw it coming to where we can have these kind of conversations where shopping can be done completely online, where AI can listen in on everything that you're doing and then just figure out what to put on your screen so that way you buy. Never in a million years would have imagined that would happen. Never thought that you can mention flip-flops and all of a sudden now I'm going to be buying flip-flops on the internet at 80% off because someone mentioned it, or that I might end up buying a robotic chimpanzee because I talked about a robotic chimpanzee. Never in a million years thought that would ever happen. I thought, we'd be flying in jet cars like the Jetsons and floating from one place to another, but nothing like this.
That will happen. We will be flying cars soon. Like, don't rule that out. That will happen. I don't know how or whether it will be in our time, but flying cars, even if it's just one man in his little one man helicopter, that will happen ultimately.
Yeah.
I mean, the regulations you'd have to make for that is just going to be it's like writing the road all over again.
Yeah.
It's like you go too far down a certain road. It's like, well, how would you go back? Like technology, you're going where do you stop? Like, I mean, it's like you're opening Pandora's box, and then, I mean, it's crazy. I hope I'm not here to sort of see when it all crumbles, like when everything is like technology based, and you can't do anything without a data connection, and then you get like a loss of signal, and every fucking thing in your house goes down. The oven turns off, the light goes off, your butt plug vibrator runs out because it's all fucking powered by energy. Like, I'm watching TV, right? And it says loss of connection. I'm like, fuck's sake. I'm on my phone. The page won't load. I'm like, well, am I going to 5 minutes?
We're gonna go so far into technology that one bad day is going to send us right back into the Stone Ages. We're just going to say, screw it, start over. I'm going to invent fire. And then it just starts all over again. I'm hoping that happens because that would be that people would be like, there was an era where we relied on this thing called technology and it completely just eradicated all of humanity. And so we had to start over from the ground up. And so we go back into the Stone Age to the Golden Age, the Iron Age, and it's Game of Thrones.
The chimpanzee cage, the old age, the outrage. Yeah. Obviously, as YouTubers and people online like us, we need these online platforms to make money. Otherwise, we'll have to get a fucking job. But when you speak about in terms of humanity in the bigger picture, yeah, I think it's pretty much disastrous. If I'm honest, I think that there's eventually, I mean, it has to be more bad than good coming from all of this. You know, you could say there's good coming from it.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's good coming from it because of the bad that exists because of it in the first place. It's almost like, oh, we'll create this, which is good. Like you can access your doctor via the Skype call, but you've only got this disease because you sit on your fucking phone all day. So it's like, well, we really haven't gained anything, have we? We might as well light fires and just hunt fish. It's
Yeah.
much funner. Like, if I'd love to go back to how what was used to be, just hunting for your food, picking some berries, running after a squirrel, and like the chase of trying to get that squirrel, and like having to be quiet, and then that squirrel
Yeah.
runs past, you jump up the leaf, and you grab it. And, you know that must be so much fun. And fuck, I missed it. I'm gonna starve. Next day, I'm gonna get that fucker, and that must be so much fun. And now it's like, click, everything comes with excitement anymore. I want to like hunt and like jump on that pig in the desert, like, and just like take it down and put it in a headlock, like Bear Grylls. You know, it's fun shit.
Yeah. Like I think we keep going so far into, relying on technology and being indoors and being more introverted and being behind a screen that the things that are outside, like being in wilderness, being in nature and going out and doing things like going camping. The simple task of going camping is so accessible and so easy to do, but yet we keep veering so far away from that those kind of things become more unique, interesting, and novel. That when people see that, they're like, "Oh, what is that? I want to experience that." And then they drop thousands and thousands of dollars into it because they think that you have to do it a specific way to make it look like that. So, like, watch. Now I'm going to see a tent because I'm going to
Yeah, you
mention
will.
tent on my
Absolutely
Amazon
will.
stream.
Yeah.
And then this person will go and spend like $700 on a family-sized multi-room tent just to go and experience that one thing that Bear Grylls showed them on whatever show, because it's something that most people don't do anymore. It is crazy because like that is something that you can do at any time, any given day, but because we're so, caught up with all this that we don't even think twice about that. Like, when was the last time you went camping with your family?
I don't think I've ever done it because you're always trying to get back to this life, and it's almost like I need to do something, but I don't know what I need to do. So you're constantly searching for this thing, which is often within. It's that feeling of just contentment of I don't need anything. Just be happy and enjoy the moment. So yeah, always trying to go back, go home to work, always just feeling of I need to do something. But simple stuff like going to get a tent for 20 quid, driving to a random field, getting a little stove from a little like camping shop, getting a saucepan, noodles, sausage like frankfurters, bread, simple shit. It's excitement. Noodles, just put
Yeah.
me in some water. That's the greatest thing ever. Chop some frankfurters up, and it's like, oh, we're camping. Oh, and you eat noodles like it's just fun. That is the feeling
Yeah.
of fun that no one has anymore. You don't need to be on your phone because you're looking at the moon, you're looking at the stars. Cook some bacon in the morning. Stuff that doesn't really cost much. Fucking bag of noodles, 20p. But it's excitement of okay, put the water in, watch it boil, have some coffee as well. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I think last time I went camping with my friend, we had super noodles, which is an English brand for noodles, and we had hot dogs. It was on the Queen's grounds, like the Windsor, where the Queen
Yeah.
lives. It's a massive grass. We just pulled up to the side and we just camped there, and it was so exciting. It was fun. Dog walkers coming in the morning. Didn't need our phone, and everyone's
Yeah.
like missing out on this nature thing. We're always indoors, and indoors is kills me. I need to go fucking walks every day. I mean, don't even get me started about the mountains and how great the mountains are, national parks
Oh
and
my
stuff. Like,
gosh. Yeah. Speaking of national parks, so here I'm I'm not too far from Yosemite. I'm probably about 6 hours away from Yosemite. So it's a beautiful national park. In order to get a campground or campsite, it's only open for registration one day out of the entire year. And it only takes that one day, not even that one day, it takes 30 minutes to claim a spot. Like you have 30 minutes once it opens for registration to find a spot and lock it in. A couple of days ago, my wife and I had to have all of our setups. So 3 computers each, our phones, and registration opened at 7 a.m. 6:59, we hit search, found our spot, and tried to lock it in. And 5 out of 6 computers missed their spot. I only got 1. And within 10 minutes, I kid you not, 10 minutes, all the spots were taken.
It's like a festival.
It's crazy. And here's the thing. So we go camping once a year, and last few years we try to do the tent camping, but this year we're like, screw it, let's just get an RV. And so we're going, but here's the thing. Like, we're going into the wilderness with this high-tech RV that's going to have a bathroom, a stove, a microwave, electricity,
Bed,
the works. So
TV.
yeah. So we're just basically taking our technology with us to just park and be inside the RV out in the wilderness. And so I feel like even then, even though we're trying to get away from technology, we somehow still have to rely heavily on it in order to survive. Like, the thing that I'm really curious about is, let's say a massive EMP strikes, and then all of technology, all electricity is out. Who's going to be able to survive other than the conspiracy theorists and survivalists who can live off of the grid?
It's not a joke. I think about that all the time. Like, we take for granted Wi-Fi, data, 3G, every fucking bank, supermarkets, every fucking thing is on 3G. Not to mention when there's a power cut, when you lose the power, nothing works. Your phone dies after, like, say 12 hours. How the fuck are you going to charge it? And this is a real thing. Like, it's a real thing that you don't realize, fuck, when it's gone. Like, you didn't plan what's going to happen. And I do think, for example, we should all have like our own food supplies, like underground, for example. Like the old days, they used to store loads of cans and stuff underground because it was cool. But even though we have supermarkets to get our food, we should at least have like cans of tuna, pasta, rice, stuff that can just last forever, and bottles of water just for emergencies, like if there's a storm or a tornado or something happens, like if there's a lockdown for whatever reason. It's a real possibility. Hopefully there won't be that, but you need to be able to be independent, so you don't rely and fucking queue for miles just to get some toilet roll. Because end of the day, we're supposed to be independent. That's what our parents do. They teach us independence, and now this sort of like they taught us independence, and now we're dependent again. It's like, what was the point? And we should have our own supplies because it's just nature. Like, I want to know I can survive myself. I don't really need lots of food. I can live off nuts and seeds, but at least I've got the nuts and the seeds.
Yeah. You don't know what you don't know until you kind of start digging in deeper. So when all this started happening, I was like, you know what? I should probably recheck my supply. So we already have food because in California we have a lot of earthquakes, and we're always waiting for that big one to hit, and then everything goes to shit. So we have our supplies for earthquakes, and that'll last us 2 weeks or so. But then when we were like, we might have to kind of hunker down for a couple of months, I was like, I better go check and see what the doomsday preppers do. And so I found a doomsday prepper store that's not far from me. And I didn't know this store existed. And it's maybe like 15 miles away from my home. So I decided to take my kids and go and check it out. Oh my gosh, it's like the Toys R Us for doomsday preppers. So I walked in with thinking I just needed some, like, face masks, and that was it. I walked out with 2 55-gallon drums of water. I walked out with, I think, a couple of knives.
A shotgun.
Well, I already had my shotgun. But then just going there, I just asked a couple of basic questions. I'm like, where are the masks? What do I do with this water? And the people there were so insanely knowledgeable. They're like, okay, so you need this. You're going to need that water, preserver, which lasts you 5 years. So these 2 55-gallon drums of water will last you 5 years if you fill it all the way to the top and you put the stuff in it. Otherwise, it only lasts 2 years. And I'm thinking to myself, like, how many of these do you have, and how many of these do you have to have for, and how long do they need to last and how long are you planning on hunkering down for? 5 years? Like, who needs water for 5 years? Especially if they're like 55-gallon drums. And then digging into like all the different food and rations and MREs that they have there, like it's insane what you don't know, because like the simple task of how to decide what wild vegetables and wild fruit you can actually eat without having massive diarrhea, and then where to store your food when things hit. It's like you don't realize how unprepared you are, even though you get prepared.
Yeah, like, and all this stuff, even though it's like a real situation, it is exciting. Like when you go out and you start thinking about, well, if the world comes to an end, I'm gonna need to have a gun to shoot down the pig. I need to like tie him up to a tree so he doesn't run away. Then I need to protect another human being from taking that pig. So I need to have like some kind of traps with string and some like thing on the ground, and you tread on it and he swings up. It's like you start getting to like a really kind of creative mindset, and it's quite fun when you it's like thinking about going camping. You're thinking about using
Yeah.
the knife and the fire structure, the fire thing, and then you need about rocks and the heat. It's so exciting because that's the basics of man, where we came
Yeah.
from. And hopefully you'll
Yeah.
never need to use your water in your garage, but you do feel a sense of empowerment. The fact that you've got all that there, and you now know you can survive for at least 10 years or 5 years should shit go south. But it's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah.
That's really exciting.
Imagine if tomorrow there's no Google. None. Where the hell are you going to find out how to do anything?
Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
like who you gonna you can't turn to your neighbor and be like, hey, so how do you start a fire? Because chances are they don't know either. Everybody's so domesticated that we've just kind of lost those basic skills. And you kind of, and those people that you kind of mock in the past for being doomsday preppers who go out hunting every weekend for whatever random reason, bringing home wild pigs and stuff. You're like, that guy's crazy. And then when the day comes, you're like, hey, Earl, um, can I go hunting with you? Okay, cool. Like, and now they're not the crazy ones. You're the crazy one because you don't know anything.
It's like, oh, how do I skin him? And do I break the head first or the leg first? Can you show me? How do I load this gun? Like, do I shoot the duck's tail or the duck's head? Do I let it come to me? It's like, oh, now you want to fucking know. Now you want to know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But it's so true. Everything's online. If technology went down, or even electricity went down, you couldn't get on your phone, your laptop. You got millions of people who are fucking retarded, basically. You don't know what to do, who only like look when they need to look online. And if you've not got a book nearby in the loft or somewhere in the garage,
gosh,
won't know what to do. And it will be like fighting. It will just be like back to the basics of there's one carcass and there's 5 lions and there's like only 4 going to eat. It's like, well, I'm sorry, but I'm eating tonight. And he's like, no, you're not, honey. No, you're not.
yeah,
I'm eating
yeah,
tonight. And it's like, no, you're not. I'm taking that TV at Black Friday. No, you're not. That's my LG TV. Yeah, on a bet watch me. Like, fuck, it's like it's gonna be like Black Friday, but for food.
oh my god, it's been Black Friday every day at the grocery stores. Like just watching people how they interact with each other, just trying to get to toilet paper or the last can of tuna. There was, I think 3 or 4 days ago, I had to go to the grocery store just to get some basic essentials. I think it was just a gallon of milk and some nectarines, nothing crazy. And my wife was like, go and check the rice aisle. I'm like, okay. So I rolled down the rice aisle and both sides are completely empty with like a couple boxes of random packets of brown rice, like the ready to cook or ready to eat brown rice.
Yeah.
And so there were 5 of us men just kind of like hovering around this one
Looking at
last
each other
bag of rice. Like,
like,
you want it? Like me, I'm not a fan of brown rice. So I'm like, I don't really want it, but who's going to get it? So I'm just kind of standing back like, all right, fight.
oh my god, literally sort of like looking at him, and sort of you're creeping up like a lion about to pounce. And it's like,
Yeah. And I'm just like, okay, which one of you is going to throw the first swing? Cause I just want to see who's going to go down first. And it's just crazy. And like, I'm really curious about, because at some point men will have to do what men do, right? they're going to go. They're going to start throwing blows.
Wank each other off.
Yeah, and we're such a society, especially with. I haven't seen. I've seen more and more men be less manly in terms of just sheer grit and having anything as simple as like fighting skills. I just want to see what happens when society goes to shit and men who are like really out of shape just start throwing swings at each other like this, and then missing, and then getting just fatigued and exhausted from just throwing one swing, and then being like this, and then just bumping each other over like walruses.
Yeah, literally, you'll get some fat guy, who's like, he just goes up and pushes the fat guy, and he falls back and sort of knocks all the rice over, and he's like struggling to get up, and he's like, oh fuck, oh fucking hell, he's trying to
Just
get up.
just knocking over shelves and displays, trying to get up.
Literally like a
Yeah.
walrus, right? And everyone just falls back. And he picks up a French stick, starts whacking them on the
Oh
head.
my
Like,
god.
wait, woof. He'll be like proper like film shit. It will. It's like two walruses. They've not got arms because it's all like tucked in, and they're like, they fucking flop on them,
Yeah.
like belly flop.
I love watching stuff like World Star Hip Hop. Not for the knockouts. I love watching the people who can't fight try to fight. And it's just the most entertaining thing on the planet because they don't know what they're doing. They're just going for it. Adrenaline's rushing, everything's going crazy. It's just epic. And nobody really wins. It's just the only people who win are the audience because they're just busy watching.
They're just swinging and hoping that one lands, and then one gets hit and he falls to the ground. And it's like, oh, World Star.
And then how does
YouTube?
and that's how it ends, is that the one person who shoved the other person down just screams into the camera, World Star.
Yeah.
And that's how it ends. That's how you know the fight is over.
That's the thing. You know what, California, yeah, you've got a massive ocean, right? Silly question. Mm-hmm. You by the ocean, yeah?
Yep.
Do lots of people just hire boats and just boat out into the ocean? What is it? Is it Pacific Ocean, or what ocean is next to California?
Yeah, it's the Pacific. We have a lot of little bays and little beaches and stuff, and yeah, so people will hire or rent a boat, and then somebody will boat them out. There'll be somebody that's captaining the ship. I don't know what it's called because I rarely ever do it, but just a simple skill like that, you have to hire somebody to do. Like, what's the point of getting on a little tiny boat that's going to rock you side to side where you're just going to get motion sickness just so somebody can take you around the bay for like 30 minutes and then that's it. Like, you're not fishing, for one. You're in the middle of this wide open body of water, and if you don't know how to swim like me, you're pretty much screwed. So what's the point of getting out in the water?
I love the fact that you can literally just put your fishing rod in the water and you've got a choice of like literally a million different fish, and you'd be like, oh, what is this? Like, there's so many fish down there. It's overwhelming. It's so exciting. Like, you know, people, they fish, they don't necessarily eat it all the time. They put it back. Right. But yeah, the feeling of you could just literally get any type of fish, it's just amazing. It just makes me really want to go out there in a little boat and just fish.
But here's the thing, though. In my own personal experience, and a lot of other guys that I've been around with that have done it, they'll sit around for hours, just hours, waiting for a bite. And like you said, there are millions and millions of fish out there, but why is it that it's so damn hard to just catch one? Like, why can't you just go to the grocery store right down the way and just buy one, and here it is, and then bring it home to your family and be like, look what I got?
Like, there's so many boats with like grills on, so people just get a fish and they grill it there and then, a fresh sea bass or whatever the fuck's out there.
That's true.
That is so good. Having a few beers, music, speaking to your friends, like, that is stuff that we've always done, which is so much more exciting than just even like necessarily watching a Netflix series, because it's really connecting to nature, to our roots. Like, Netflix is good, of course, but if you compared the two feelings, I think that anyone would choose to be out at sea with your friends catching a fish, even if you have to wait 50 hours for a fish, compared to watching Netflix, because your brain's like engaged following the storyline. It's tiring. Like, it's tiring watching a Netflix series because even though you're not thinking, you're focusing. That is, your muscles are like clenching, and people don't realize that it takes energy to listen to somebody speak because you've got to
Yeah.
follow where they're going. Often more energy than it takes talking.
Yeah. Like my first time ever going on a fishing expedition, a bunch of us got together and we took off one afternoon and it was going to be an overnight thing. So we hired this boat. It's a big, beautiful boat. It had about 8 or 9 beds underneath, and we had our own chef. So
Wow.
we took off out into the Baja of Mexico, and it started raining. So we just had this massive storm. So the boat was just rocking back and forth. Mind you, I'd never been on a boat before, never been on a fishing expedition before, never didn't know what to expect. I'm in a t-shirt, jeans, like I'm as if I'm going out to go clubbing because that's how I dressed. So not only was I underprepared in terms of what I was wearing, I didn't know that I would have motion sickness. So the entire time that I was out on this boat while everybody else is trying to fish, I was busy just laying in my bunk trying not to get rocked and then just trying to sleep the entire night into the early morning. Our chef, our cook makes us breakfast burritos. I had like 2 bites and then I had to go over to the side and throw up into the ocean. And then we were there to that next afternoon. So I was just miserable the entire time while everybody else is trying to fish. There were probably 8 or 9 guys trying to fish, and we ended up with one fish.
One fish.
And yeah, and hardly anybody was really having fun. But all the other guys were up on the top deck, talking and fishing and stuff. But me, well underprepared, didn't enjoy it.
That's the thing. You look at all these like cruises, you see yourself in the pool, they look at the sun and the view, but you don't see the videos where there's a fucking storm at night time and the boat's rocking. You look out your window, there's waves like hitting the window. I'd be shitting myself. Like I
Yeah,
think I think I'd rather fly than be on a boat because at least the plane sort of can balance itself out. Whereas if you're on a boat, you can't stop that rocking. I mean, just
nope.
thinking about you're trapped. You literally are trapped. Like at least if you're on
Yeah,
a plane, you can jump out and skydive and sort of make it in a few hours or minutes. But on a
yeah,
boat, you
you
can't
have
swim
some.
back to shore.
No, at least when you're in a plane, if you have to just if at least you have a parachute, like an emergency parachute. You may not know how to operate it, but at least you have options. When you are on a boat, you jump out of the water, it's a quick splash, and if you know how to swim, great. You're just going to get eaten by the shark later.
Literally,
Or if you can't swim, you're going to drown, which is a much quicker and much scarier death, I think, in my opinion. And that's it. You have no options. It's just you hit the water, that's it. Or you just try to stay in the boat and hopefully somebody arrives, which is a terrifying thing to experience either. But yeah,
Have you seen those paragliders where they have a fan on their back? It's like a rucksack and a fan,
yeah,
and they've got a
yeah,
parachute. And they go off a mountain and they just fly with the fan. Have you seen those in California?
yeah,
It's
yep.
common.
I wouldn't say it's common, but yeah, you see them, especially where it's accessible to do that. And those guys are, they're, like I said, just like if you keep an animal in your house, like a lion in your house, you're taking your life into your own hands. Like you understand that at any time something can happen. Your parachute can hit a power line, or it could scuff the side of a mountain, or you could land funny and break your legs. You're taking your life in your own hands. It's crazy, but more power to you.
There's a YouTuber who flies around the sky with his GoPro and he goes to McDonald's. He picks up his McDonald's. He goes above the clouds and you can see the sun reflecting off the clouds. And he lives in like Alaska or whatever, or not Alaska, some farm place. He just takes off and lands, and it's incredible. Like honestly, you should check it out. It's inspiring. He goes to McDonald's and picks up his burger, and he just starts flying in the sky. Like I actually really want to get one of those. You need to have training, of course,
Yeah,
which you can actually do like courses on. The whole thing's about 2,000 quid. But you train yourself, and because there's no laws saying you can't go up and fly, as long as you don't go above a certain height, this
yeah,
guy's just flying in the sky, like eating his fucking McDonald's.
yeah. So, so I'm a drone pilot, and I just think about all the times where once I put my quad or my drone up in the sky, like you have to have perfect, line of sight, right? if something's up in the air, you kind of want to get away from it. But what if you're a paraglider or a parachuter and you're about, say, 1,000 feet above ground and you're about to either take off or about to land, and a drone comes and hits your cord and then slices your cord and takes you out. Like, that sucks. And going back to technology, the more and more we start to get into advanced technology where drones become more common and you're going to start seeing more drones up in the sky, now that's a hazard.
That's a
And
good point. I didn't think about it like that. Obviously, you don't expect. Obviously, there's going to be birds up there, but kind of, they can get out the way. But if you've got some
yeah,
man's drone just sitting there, you like, what the fuck do you do? Like, it's true. What can you do? It's just there, and drones aren't that popular, and also paragliding is even less popular. But it's true. What happens when a guy is just enjoying himself, and then a fucking drone chops off his thing? Now what?
yeah,
A load of
exactly.
complications. Like, again, it's just too many. It's almost like you shoot a duck and it's just exploded everywhere, and everywhere you go, there's still something there to fix and sort out and wipe and clean. Like, where you can't write. It's like making a new law for every single law. It's like trans
Yeah,
people. Okay, so they go in the same toilet. Can they play the same sport? What if the trans person's actually smaller and the guy, no, the guy is smaller than the lady, so actually she's bigger? Does that mean it's okay? How about all girls school, boys school? What if they transitioned before? What if they think they're a woman but they've not had the operation? It's like, well, how the fuck do we create all these fucking rules? Like, where do we start? It's like disabled toilets. Okay, so you're making a disabled toilet for the hope that one disabled person out of millions of people might come. That costs money and time to build. You've got a ramp for one person who might want a cheeseburger. It's like, it's just so many factors in these days. So
yeah,
many. It's like, where the hell do you start? No wonder so many businesses can't even get started, because it's like, well, I've got to have this, got to have that, got to have this, got to have that, got fucking toilet for trans people, got to disabled people, fucking dogs. I mean, fucking hell.
yeah. It's like as you're saying this, I start kind of thinking about what is the what is the best way to describe what life really is, and it's like life is this. You're the field goal kicker in American football, and the goalpost keeps getting dragged back further and further and further and further and further, and that's what life is. And I feel like that's exactly what you were saying. Is like, as we get further and further into life and society and culture, the goalpost keeps getting moved further and further back. It's like, can't we just hit the goal and just celebrate together and then just call it a day? No, it doesn't work that way. It's like, as somebody changes their mind on how something works in the world, now we have to create rules for how that functions in society and in the culture.
It's like there's too many people now that governments can't govern. So now, rather than governing and sort of enforcing all the rules that are there, you add a new rule. So somebody wants a vegan in every fucking McDonald's. Okay, we'll do vegan food. Then they want food for children. Okay, then they want food for dogs, and then they want food for the blind, food for the deaf, trans people. Then there'll be different tables for trans, blacks, white, Chinese, fucking everything. And then it's like all these like society, different cultures. Okay, we'll create it for you as well. It's like, at what point do we just stop? It's like everyone pipes up online. Companies are scared to get boycotted. Okay, we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll block. Oh,
Yep.
you don't like how we said lampshade? We'll put that in the algorithm of ban words. Somebody talks about a lampshade, his video gets taken down. So what the fuck, man? Selling
Yeah.
lampshades. It's like,
Like, I just want to make a few extra bucks on my Amazon Associates account. Come on now, lampshade. Now
yeah,
it's gonna show up on my
literally.
timeline.
It's like everyone, because everything's all online, so you can see it all like it's a big deal, when it really isn't. It's now, well, she was a vegan. Now they're selling vegan food. I want food for my dog. That's racist because my dog's a human too. No, it's fucking not. You're telling me my dog isn't human. I'm a penguin. Okay, you're saying I'm not a penguin. Right, right, you're a penguin. Fine. Okay, fine. Make a penguin. Make a penguin table for the penguins. And it's like everyone is gonna get a glimpse of what they want. Everyone's gonna see everyone else getting part of what they want. And it's like, well, we'll give you that. We'll give you that. We'll give you McDonald's want a pasta. Oh, we'll do spaghetti burgers. Oh, KFC chicken wings will sell fucking, I don't know, pingu wings. It's like, or some guys are, hey, I want tarantula wings. All right, then we'll do tarantula wings. You won't do tarantula wings? Fuck you, we're gonna boycott you. Oh, no, 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 we'll do tarantula wings. It's
Yeah.
like It's like the Big Bang. It's how the Big Bang started. Too much energy built up, explosion. Too many people not getting what they want, and it's going to be fucking war, civil war, not like country war, civil war. It's like California versus San Fran. I'm better than you. Fuck you. We're first. This is my coast. Fuck you. We made the burritos. Fuck you. And it's just like they were fighting over like as you said, brown rice, white rice. It's just fucking nonsense. And then honestly, I see it going this way. Is you just look at supermarkets. As crazy as it is, that stuff can only get worse. And where does it? Where does it stop? Well, it has to stop by like people fighting. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the only way. It's just animals fight, and if you fuck it, all right, I've got punched in the mouth. This war has fucking landed on me. He's a heavy fuck. He's just crushed me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
Like
have to fight.
it's kind of like back in elementary school. Like you get a bully. The only way to deal with the bully was to basically just fight. That
True,
was it.
true. Yeah,
And
yeah,
if the bully wins, the bully wins.
yeah.
That's why they're the bully. If you win, the bully backs off and leaves you alone. That's the
Can't
way it
tell the
should have
teacher.
always been.
Cannot politics. Tell the teacher that never did fuck all. Right? Doesn't do anything because you have to feel the same pain you're inflicting on others. You have to punch him right in the mouth, like
Yeah.
two lions. He wants the territory. I'm the bigger lion. All right, then fucking fight me. And all of a sudden, they fight. He's like, oh fuck, my chin's coming off. Fuck it, you have it. And then he steps down, and then the next lion steps up, and then there's another lion that steps up. That's a cycle of life. You can't just put like a few rules in place saying don't do this because it doesn't work. Telling kids not to do drugs. They have to experience the drugs of the good and the bad, feel shit the next day. Oh, I don't want to do this again. You can't be like,
Yeah.
don't do that. Why? Monkey's going to scratch your ass when you're not looking at them. You tell a kid don't pick your nose, he's going to pick your nose. You're not looking. It's just
Yeah.
what it's like, you know.
Like just explain to them, hey, if you do it, here are the potential consequences. But cheers, enjoy.
Yeah, enjoy. If you lose your nose for doing cocaine, well, enjoy.
Yeah, exactly. Like rules of the playground are, if you're gonna get in a fist fight, don't go tell the teacher. Nobody tells the teacher. Nobody says shit. Just do it, get it over with, figure it out later, and then your friends afterwards. That's the one thing that I can always say that men have done well is they'll have a fist fight, they'll fight it out, and then they shake hands, and then they're friends afterwards. Women, not so much. They can hold grudges for the rest of their lives. That's what they're good at. But men, it'll build up to a certain point, they'll fight it out, and then everything's a-okay. There aren't any grudges, there aren't any arguments, there's nothing afterwards. It's just, okay, that's it. It is what it is. Win or
Literally,
lose.
it's so funny. Like I see this in reality. Two people are like having a conversation about it could be anything, right? Absolutely anything, right? That Guinness isn't Guinness. No, it's a Stella. No, mate, it's a Guinness. When they can't use their intellect to decipher whether that's a Guinness or a Stella, one guy goes, "Come on, let's take it outside." And they fucking go outside and have a fight over like that pint of Guinness if it's a Stella. It's crazy, but then it does solve the issue. The conversation's gone. Who gives a fuck? It's like, well, we never found out whether it was a Stella or a Guinness, but it doesn't matter. Cheers, enjoy my Stella, and they're cheersing together. Like it's funny how a fight can solve it. A fight can stop something going further. It doesn't solve the
Yeah.
issue, but it stops that problem going further. And it's like it's hilarious because that's what animals do. That's what
Yeah.
every living thing does, apart from a human. Literally, any living thing, flies fight, ants fight. I've seen ants fight over a little twig. I've seen that ant
Right.
pull that twig, and they're fighting over it. I'm fucking crazy. I'm like, oh, humans can't even fight. Like, we're not
No.
allowed to. And no wonder there's so much anger inside us and so many problems because get a chance to fucking punch him in the mouth to realise that that's my lawn. Stop your dog shitting on my lawn, mate.
Yeah.
Punch him in the
Like-
face.
like the second that a conflict picks up, just be like, hey, you want to fight? And they say yes or no. If they say yeah, great, let's go, let's do this. Like I'm always waiting for that moment where an argument goes to that point in person. Be like, hey, listen, like we're not gonna hash this out. Let's just get in a fist fight right now. 2 minutes, 1 round, call it a day, win or lose.
Literally, next time you're doing something and you speak, right, and it will either flow. Next time you speak and someone says no, or as soon as somebody has a difference between what you're saying or they disagree, it could be anything like, hey, dude, do you reckon those beans have garlic in? No, they don't. Do you want to take this outside? what? Do you want to take this
You want
outside?
to fight?
Yeah, literally. See the reaction that you get. Like, as soon as you disagree with somebody, instantly say, "Do you want to take this outside?" And see how many people back down and how many and how
Yeah.
many people do
Like,
it.
and you could do it. You don't even have to do it with an intimidating tone. You just be
No,
like,
just a joke.
"You want to
Yeah,
just take it outside real quick? Like, just get in a fight. I
that's
have
YouTube
gloves. Let's just
content
go."
right there. Like, you can have your camera go around random places and be like, "Hey, do you reckon San Francisco's right or left?" I think it's a right. I think it's a left. No, it's a right. Do you wanna sort this out now? Like, and then sort of tally chart on your YouTube video. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and everything's like yes, no, 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 yes, yes, yes. And at the end, you'll have like
Do you want to
90,
fight?
60 people saying yes, 40 saying no. How many actually had a fight? But yeah, it's how you say it. It's almost like if you say it with a smile on your face, no one's going to take it serious. If you say it like you want to fight, they're going to get ramped up and they're probably going to hit you first because now they're
Yeah.
scared. But if you go,
Yeah.
do you want to take this outside? Do you want to go outside right now? They're going to
They
be
won't even
like,
know how to react.
yeah.
Be like, what
Yeah,
did you say?
let me just pay for these and I'll meet you in the parking lot. Yeah.
They're like, and then they're googling what to do in a fight.
Oh my God.
The one time when I was in high school, we were in an English class, and all the classmates. The teacher hadn't even arrived yet, so the classmates started like throwing this mashed up paper ball around, and we were all smacking around. It was going up in the air, and it came at me, so I smacked it, and it hit this poor kid in the face named Michael across the room. Never interacted with the guy. Never interacted with him. And then he stands up, and he's like, "Who did that?" And I was like, and he's like, "You want to fight?" I'm like, "Yeah." And
Oh
I
my
think the rest
God,
of
Dad, I've waited this moment.
I was like, yes. And the rest of the class was like, they're not gonna fight. That's stupid. And so I came up to him. No, at the end of class, he comes up and he's like, "You want to fight now?" I'm like, "How about after school?" Because it was sixth period, last class and stuff. I'm like, after school in the parking lot across the street. Lo and behold, he shows up. I was already there because we were having like a football team picnic, so I was going to be there anyway. And so he shows up with his friends, and I'm at the picnic just chilling, eating with the rest of the team, and I see him. I'm like, "All right, guys, I'll be right back." Walk up to him in this parking lot, and we just start throwing blows. The rest of the team's like, "What the fuck is going on?" And my coach is like, Lee, stop it." And we finish, fight's over, shake hands, walk off. I had drug him face first in the asphalt, so his face was just completely just mashed up. Walk back to the team, sit down, and just go back to eating. And they're like, "What the fuck was that all about?" And I was like, "Oh, he asked me if I wanted to fight." He just kept eating. And then we had our football game later in the day. The next day, go to class. Poor Michael had this like giant bandage over his face, and we became friends after that.
Yeah, always the
Like,
case. Always.
like we knew each other more after that than we did going into it. And
Absolutely.
everything, the world is perfect. The
And
world is fine.
That's the thing. Like, if you think about how these days everything is based on law and policy, and no one fights and feels pain. Imagine how much conflict would be resolved immediately if two people were allowed to fight and the police just sort of refereed it. They'd shake
Yeah.
hands. There wouldn't be any further bollocks down the line. There wouldn't be, "I'm going to shoot you and get you." It would be like, "We solve this now, and you respect each other." And it will just change everything because now all the peers and friends and family look at you differently. It's almost like now
Yeah.
you respect each other. Nowadays, it's like the war continues to family and relatives, and it just keeps going on. And there's something to be said about a fight. You
Yeah.
do become friends afterwards because you have to respect each other. It's like you look at all the boxers. They fucking like
Yeah.
Conor McGregor and everyone. They fucking bollock each other beforehand, and then they're friends after. Maybe not friends with the gut
Yeah.
for dinner, but they are now respectful. And again, you're trying to take away human instincts and nature by law
Yeah.
and bollocks, and it's just not how it works. Like you can't just create toilets for every person who wants to be binary, this fucking gender fluid. Like, how many fucking toilets are we going to need? Like fucking gender fluid, binary fluid, gay, trans gay, gay, bi, bisexual, lesbian, bi not sure. It's like, I mean, there's no fucking place for the chairs and tables. Like,
There's
just
no
fucking
end.
toilets everywhere. It's
There's
like,
no end
why
to
don't I eat my burger? I'll try toilet number 9.
it. They just need to fight it out.
Literally, find it out and you realize this is pathetic. Like, all this bollocks we're fighting about. Vegan cat. Like, you give a fuck if your cat's vegan. Just feed it what you want. If it dies, tough shit. If it doesn't, well, you got lucky. Like, who cares? Stop fighting over why you should be feeding your cat lettuce. Just love each other. Let that cat eat that and get your cat to eat that. Don't have an argument about how your cat should be entitled to eat bloody lettuce. It's like, fucking have a scrap and you realize this is ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Yeah. Then you realize there's a lot more going on in this world than just what your cat eats.
It's true. Like, all these small conflicts of all these different groups, societies, religions, cults, beliefs, right? They're like weeds everywhere. They're sprouting up from all over the place. And why? Because one doesn't get resolved properly. So it's like, well, you see that, I'm gonna do that, and you feel empowered by raising your voice and taking someone down. And because there's no actual resolution, because unless you go through the court for every damn thing, there's no fights because you get arrested. So now it's just like this volcano on the ground. Everyone's got a volcano, and it hasn't erupted, but you know it's there. And it's like another volcano, like another sinkhole, 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 sinkhole. You never fix it. It just gets deeper and deeper and deeper. And then all of a sudden, whoom, a fucking bus drops down.
I love the fact that you chose a bus full of people, children.
It was a school bus, unfortunately.
Oh, or a bus full of senior citizens. I don't know what would be more tragic, a bus full of senior citizens or a bus full of children.
I mean, if you have a child, you might feel empathetic towards the children. But if you are a carer for an old pensioner's home, or you just had tea with your nan, you might think, oh, it could have been my nan, and then it'll be really bad. But again, it's circumstantial. It's like, if you want to help humanity as a whole, flu needs to kill a lot of us off, so we can manage ourselves again. There's not many people to govern. The health services aren't overrun in terms of human species. If there's loads of trees and there's fires, you need the fire to burn them down so they rebuild, and there's less trees in terms of overall. But if it's your child, if it's your nan, you want it, it's all circumstantial. Like, I want those trees to live forever. Where the fuck is the flu jab, Trump? I deserve the flu jab. But then you can't get a position in the hospital. We need to kill some humans off. It's too fucking many of us coughing and spluttering. It's all circumstantial. When it affects you, then it's like, whoa, and when it doesn't, oh, fuck them. It's another human being. Yeah. Don't know who she is.
It's the circle of life.
Yeah, literally. So it comes down to, if you've got enough meat, if you're the lion, you've had your meal. Go on, Barry. You tuck into that wall, that what we call walrus, right? But if it's you or that lion, and there's only one walrus, it's like, well, mate, I'm having this. I'm gonna fucking kill you for it. Again, 1 before 2. 1's okay. Help yourself. Tuck in.
Yeah.
Help yourself. Plenty of tuna on the ground. Come on, help yourself.
Yeah. If it were only that simple.
Yeah, it's not. It's literally absolutely in the middle. Like, I give food to homeless guys sometimes when I'm in London. One guy said, oh, I've already eaten. I'm like, oh, okay then. How about tomorrow's breakfast? He said he's already eaten. So, yeah, he's had enough. He doesn't want that food. But then he's like, walking into shops like, give me some food, fucking, when he's hungry. It's circumstantial. It's a mindset. It's literally, life is 2 sectors. It's how you see it within and then how you see it on the outside. And to them, it's the exact opposite. It's really, truly fascinating.
Yeah. You know what's really fascinating is homeless people. Like, talk about the simplest simple life, because you live off of the land, essentially. It's like maybe you might have a cell phone, you might bum the internet off of the local Starbucks or something like that, but you don't live by anybody else's rules. You don't live off of society's rules. You just kind of do what you do. And being in California, we have, especially in Los Angeles, it's massive amounts of homeless, like way too much homelessness. But every street corner you turn on, there's a homeless person that's kind of going about their business, doing what they do, not caring. But if they need food, they're provided for some way, one way or another. They might, ask for money, or they might just exactly. Either way, their needs are taken care of, and they don't have to go far to ask for it. But for us, it's like we're scraping for every penny, every way we can, investing money in to pull money out. And it just keeps going. Whereas with them, it's just like, I have a place to sleep, I have a blanket, I have my shopping cart full of crap, I'm good. And The entire world's their toilet, so it just works out.
When there's homeless guys, they have a shopping cart full of like bottles. I
Oh my
I
god.
heard I heard that they're working for the council and they are getting paid to clear up the streets. Because I always thought, why the fuck is he carrying all that in his trolley for? And I heard that the council hire them to go round collecting all the stuff,
Oh,
and they're getting paid for it. So I don't know what it's like in America, but that surely is why they're doing that. Because otherwise, it's quite a sad hobby collecting other people's junk. But it would make sense how you
it
help
would.
you help the society and you get paid for whatever. I mean, is that right? I don't know. I heard.
I wish that were the case because then their carts wouldn't be so jammed full of bottles and sh- other shopping carts and blankets and other homeless people piled on top.
It's like, obviously it's not nice when you're cold, but in terms of the simplicity of a homeless person, there's no phones, no laptop, nature, all day to think and do nothing. Yeah, if you want to, as long as you are happy, then it would actually be a lot more happier than having to get a job and struggle and pay your bills and blah, 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 blah. But if it's cold, then, then it's a bit shitty. But again, there's good and bad in anything in life. We take our life for granted
Yep.
and we just want peace. Like, just being a monk in a mountain. Like if times were tough for me and I couldn't create the lifestyle I wanted, I'd literally would move to the Himalayas or wherever the monks are, go to a monastery and just do nothing. I literally would love nothing more than to do. I want it all. Be a millionaire to have what I want. Or I don't want any of it. There's no in between.
Mm. Yeah.
And those are my options. I just get a one-way flight ticket. I'll be in nature, just meditating, eating great food, communicating. These monks, like they live for so long. They eat like the age of them. They might do fuck all day, but they're so happy. They live so long. And again, there's always two ways of looking at life. These homeless
Yeah.
people, they want this big life. We have this life, and we want simplicity. So this homeless guy's got simplicity, but then he's not got what they want. So everyone's got what they not happy with what they have, and
Yeah.
they always want what they haven't got. So really, there's no wrong or right, is there?
Yeah. No. Speaking of monks, so growing up, I always saw monks, wherever because my parents were Buddhists, so we used to go to like different temples and stuff. And it wasn't until a few years ago that I would start seeing monks carrying cell phones or being on laptops, and it started making me wonder, like, did they finally change the rules and decide to just kind of keep up with
Hey,
society
you're
where
fake.
now
I
they're
caught you. Don't think I
like, ha, you're
didn't.
not a real monk. It's like
Those
he's
little AirPods. Don't think I can't see that little AirPod under your long hair. That's a wig, mate. You've got shaved there.
like there's a YouTuber monk. Like, why do you have a YouTube channel of 500,000 subscribers? And
Guys,
your video is monetized. So where's that money going? Like, what are you doing? Like, this doesn't seem right. Like, you should be living the simple life.
wooden cabin, yeah. Doesn't need fucking
Yeah.
400 pounds, mate. Just needs
Like he just got dropped off by a Bentley. Like, what monk rolls around like that?
He literally go to the side of the stream. Some Uber picks him up, takes him to a library with Wi-Fi and computers and laptops. He does his recording and he goes back to his little stream and just goes back to his little cabin with his little fire and his fish. That's joke,
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, what is going on? Like, now this whole idea of living the simple life is not so simple. And I think that's kind of human nature. We take the most simplest things that's supposed to be pure, white, simple, no frills, and we just pile little things on top until it just becomes this massive just shit pile. And then we go with an Uber driver.
The Uber driver
like,
picks up the monk, yeah, and you see on like the Uber tracking map, like he's going up this mountain. Like, where the fuck is he going? Like, there's some other guy waiting for the Uber driver to sort of like, finish the trip, and he's like, where the fuck is he going? This monk's going to the middle of the mountain, just getting dropped off. It's like 3 hours later, like the Uber driver comes back and picks up the other guy. Where have you been? Oh, tell me about it. Fucking monk dropped him off in the mountain. I thought it was only going to be 5 minute trip. Middle of the mountain. There's fucking sheep, goats crossing the road. Drops him off at this cabin and it's come all the way back down. And they've got to pick him up the next day. 3 hour trip to the mountain and just drop him off the library in New York City.
Imagine that. Imagine being that Uber driver,
Yeah.
seeing that order come in. It's like, I have to drive this monk 4 hours to get to this one location, and then
California.
I have to drive back. Like I'm, he's like in New York, and then he has to be dropped off in California. Like what Uber driver is going to take that trip? Like that's way too much. Like by the time that they're done with the trip, they've already had to check out because Uber says you can only drive like so many hours. So like what happens then? What happens when you have that kind of trip? Like what if they have a 10-hour trip? Like what Uber driver is going to take that?
It's like you watch like El Chapo and those fucking what's it called
The
break,
cartels?
yeah Breaking Bad programs. They drive miles out into the desert, like just just drive out into the desert. It's like just there's so much space out there. Doesn't it? It's a fascinating how you're in like your city and your town, and then you drive miles and you go to like the desert part, and you just continue to drive miles. There's just openness. It's
Yeah.
fascinating how fucking big the world is.
Yeah.
And
Like
that's just the state of a mess, one state. Got the whole bloody
yeah.
world.
Like I think about if we had another world war and let's say a regime takes over and ends up taking over a country. Like they can only take over so much at a time, right? So let's say if North Korea comes over to the States and then somehow dominates and then we have to go into hiding. There's like so much space. Like you can go into the desert and it's going to be months or years before anybody finds you, especially if it's just like a few of you, like a small tiny tribe of people. Like they're not going to find you. Like
So true.
you're
Like
pretty much good to
it's
go.
so true. If you think about a jet, how long a jet can fly before it needs to be topped up, like a fighter jet, right? It means that if they found out you were, for example, hiding in Vegas and you're in California, well, they'd have to stop halfway. Like it's not as simple as just taking over the
Yeah.
world. Like you could bomb the cities and stuff, but in terms of human population, I mean, it's like 90% living outside of the state, it's 95%. So you're not going to kill like everyone. And even if we're to drive there or train, well, it's like, well, how the fuck do we find them? There's no train tracks there. There's no cars. There's no roads. There's so many places for people to go. It's like so many places are populated. That's because you're just buying a fucking house in the same place as all the other houses. There's so much space on this planet. So much space. Forget where the water is, 80%. There's so much space on the parts that aren't water. Humans could have acres of land, each human, but yet we build in the same place. There's,
Yeah.
again, there's so much space all over the place. It's just like so much space. I mean,
Yeah.
crazy.
And yet, because we have this, I don't know if you call it a hive mind, but it's more of like we're so tribalists that we have to band together in small tribes. And even though our small tribes keep growing, like look at Los Angeles, what would have probably started out with maybe a couple hundred, maybe a couple thousand people became millions in a short amount of time, but they all kind of gravitate to be towards the center, wherever that center is. But yet there's all this extra space around them. Like you could go off the grid with your own little family and claim some land still, maybe, I don't know, and then start life there and just get away from everybody else. But for some reason, we all gravitate towards that center
That's
of
the
the tribe.
thing, right? If you could go to like Albuquerque, like Prison Break, for example, yeah, Prison Break. If you drive to certain parts of the country, there's just space, right? The road's here, but there's miles down there. You could keep driving. No one will be able to see that there's a caravan or a wooden chalet that you've put up. It's just too far away. You could build a little wooden thing. You could drop off some furniture, you know, solar panel, TV, connected data, Wi-Fi, have your own water supply. You can like set up again, and no one would really know you're there unless you're just walking
Yeah.
your dog over there coincidentally, and there's some man in his little caravan, like a little RV. No one's going to know you're there, and you can live the same life out of the way. Yeah, you don't own it. You didn't go through government regulation and blah 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 blah. I mean, that's the point. You get away with what you can until you can't, and no one's going to be like, mate, you can't have that land. There's fucking millions of acres, but they're like, sorry, you can't have that 1 acre for your caravan. I'm like, why? It's just not going to work. We're
Yeah.
too busy looking that way, and everything we want is that way. To me, that's so exciting. Being in the middle of nowhere in an RV, just the moon, nature, food,
Yeah.
water.
Yeah. And then that presents the opportunity to learn those skill sets to survive. Like you're not going to survive unless you learn those skill sets or figure it out for yourself. And that's just, I guess, the nature of life, right? Either you know it and you can get it, or you don't know it and you try to figure it out. And if you can't do either, you're pretty much dead. You're not long for this world anyway.
No, yeah, we also need to learn how to survive ourselves, and then you won't rely on everyone else.
Yeah, but that's what that's the problem with humans. It's like either you're gonna figure it out for yourself or you rely on other people, especially in today's society, or you just figure it out using Google.
How are you doing for time?
I have about 7 minutes left.
7 minutes, right? Cool. Do you want to quickly plug anything whilst you're at the end of this journey in Albuquerque? Any podcasts, socials, YouTube shit you want to plug? Special survival skills of how to gut a pig when it's wild and how you grab it and take it down. What part you cut first?
Okay, so my survival guide for taking down a pig. So first, you got to be able to chase down a pig. Pigs are fast. They're hella fast. Again, they're quadrupeds, so they're much faster than bipeds like us. And 2, you have to be able to corner it. And then 3, you have to watch for it because they're tiny, but they're strong and they'll bite you. And pig bites are probably really painful. I have never been bit by a pig, but I would imagine that it's really painful.
Swine flu.
You get swine flu. And then if it's a domesticated pig or even potentially a wild pig, you have to watch out for all the viruses and bacteria and all the stuff that'll probably kill you. And then once you take it down, you have to figure out how to actually kill it. And if you're not used to killing animals, it's going to be really rough. That first one's going to suck. And then after you kill it, like you have to know how fast to basically gut it because it's the internals that go bad right away. So you have to figure out how to cut it open. First, you have to carry a knife. Like you're not going to rip it open with your bare hands like The Walking Dead, which to this very day, whenever I watch The Walking Dead, I'm like, how are those zombies so damn strong that they're able to rip out a person's guts with their bare hands? Like you can't do that when you're alive. How is a dead person supposed to be able to do that? So going back to the pig, like you have to carry a knife. And I don't know too many people who carry pocket knives. And then know where to cut, where to open, and then pull out its guts. And then you have to not be squeamish because if you're squeamish, you're going to throw up all over the pig. And then you just basically ruin the pig. Not to mention like how dirty it is. Once you gut it, now you have to decide, okay, what do I do with it? Do I cut it up? Do I hang it? Do I hang it out to dry like beef jerky? Or what? And then if you're not used to cooking and prepping food, like the chicken, now you have to know how to dissect the pig and know how to like serve it up. And then if you're not going to like use the whole pig, what are you going to do with the rest of the pig? What about the pig's skin? Like, are you going to try to find a way to brine it and salt it and preserve it for later? Or are you going to just like leave it as is?
You have it as a rug or if you're Jesus as a new coat.
Yeah. Or a hat. So just use a pig's head as your hat. Now you're like Earl, the crazy guy down the street who hunts animals and then wears its skin as as fashion attire. And so once you cut down this pig and then figure out what to do with all the extra parts, like now you have to know how to prepare it. Like, what are you going to do? Are you going to brine it and preserve the pig's feet for later, which is probably an amazing treat? Yeah. You have to know how to do this stuff. So you have to decide, is it worth it to go through the trouble of like taking down this pig? Or should you just wait till your neighbor comes home with its kill and then just kill the neighbor and then take its reward?
It all depends who's hungrier, who hasn't eaten for a while. If they're fasting, they're going to be hungry. On a ketogenic diet, well, they probably can't have meat, can they?
Can you? Okay, so now I just thought about something. So what about all the people, like, say we go into full on survivalist mode? What about all the people who have very special diets, like vegans? Vegans, they're going to be okay. They just live off of the planet, plant their own stuff, and they survive. What about people who are gluten intolerant? What about people who are straight keto or Atkins? Like, are they going to stick to their diet plans? Or are they just going to say, screw it. You know what? I'm just going to eat whatever. Like, what happens with society's rules once that happens?
Get very complicated. Don't really particularly want to know. But I suppose if it comes down to it, if it's either death or some some blueberry, which isn't part of the Atkins diet, well, I guess you're gonna have to choose a blueberry, unless there's a Brazil nut tree around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Just be like, you know what? I'm just. It's not. It's not part of my diet, so I'm not going to stick with it.
But dude, you're gonna die. You've not eaten in days. It's okay. I wait for my macadamia nut or my almond nut. Dude, they don't grow in America. We're in America. Oh, I'll find it.
If somebody walks up after you've made your kill and then says, "Excuse me, is that gluten free?" That would be that right there is the end of the world for me.
Oh, shit. All right. Plug your shit, my friend. Plug it.
I am Kevin Lee. You can find me on Instagram at Real Deal Kevin Lee and on YouTube at Kevin Lee.
Right. Anything else you want to plug before I stop the call and then say goodbye afterwards?
That's it, my friend.
That is it. I'm going to press stop.